Hey guys, welcome to the Warp World Podcast Episode 2. This episode was actually recorded live at SGDQ 2017. In this episode, we talk about SGDQ 2017 and our personal experiences this year, as well as answer some of the questions that you sent us. I hope you enjoy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 2 of the Warp World Podcast. I'm your host, Grand Pooh Bear. Joining me each and every time. And it's, what's really special is that we're in the same room right now.
Yeah, first time ever.
First time ever for this podcast, though. This is our first, episode 2. We're already breaking new ground here.
Yeah.
Joining me is Jaku. Jaku, how are you doing? How are you feeling today?
I'm doing great. This week has been an exhausting week, though. There is a lot to do and no time to do it all.
Yeah, exhausting is definitely the term for it. For those who don't know, me and Jaku are currently here at SGDQ. That's Summer Games Done Quick, the premier summer speedrunning marathon, the sister to Awesome Games Done Quick, which is run in January. So far, right now, I'm looking at Cheese is actually running on the running 120 star on the TV right now as we speak. And we're looking at it. We got about a $1.4 million almost raised for Doctors Without Borders.
They just broke the record from last year earlier today, so that's amazing.
Yeah,
good job.
A crazy amount of money raised for a good cause, and shout out to all the runners and everybody that helped do it. But we're here to kind of give you a little bit of our experience here at SGDQ. We're gonna do kind of an SGDQ recap. I want to say, not the stuff you see on stream. You guys see that stuff.
Yeah, it's all recorded. It's all, you see it all.
Yeah, you see that stuff. We're going to talk about more of the things that are happening behind the scenes this week. So, tell me first thing, how's your experience been this week, Jaku?
Oh, it's been absolutely fantastic. There's been a lot more people that have been coming up to these SGDQs where I can, recognize them, and just we're involving so many more people each and every time we come here and do this.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, it's exhausting to do everything, but you want to try, and you really do get to do a whole lot of stuff. We've done escape rooms this week. We've done, we've had in real life raids.
In real life raids.
There's been a lot of drinking, a lot of hanging out on the balcony and just talking with people.
On the balcony. Yeah.
But overall, it's just that's the stuff that you don't know about, the stuff you don't see. It's just a bunch of people and a bunch of groups of people, hanging out and having a great time, and with one common thing in mind is speedrunning.
Yeah, I got a second what Jaku said. This week has been exhausting for me, for all of us here. We have a large group of people here, me and Jaku, a large group of friends here, and then we have an even much larger group of extended friends that we usually get to see only here at GDQ every week. And you want to find all the time you can to hang out with these people, and that usually involves. GDQ is going on 24 hours a day, so that usually involves staying up till 5, 6 in the morning.
Yeah,
and then waking back up at 10 in the morning, 9, 10 in the morning, and doing it all over again.
Yeah, 4 or 5 hours of sleep is about the average amount of time you get at one of these events, and over a full week, that's a lot of lost sleep. By Saturday, you're feeling it.
I can tell you right now, I am feeling it. I found myself dozing off during some of the runs today. The runs that I was excited about.
Hopefully not the one when you were on the couch.
No, definitely not the one. Definitely not the one I was on the couch for. But what are some first of all, what are some runs here that you didn't plan on seeing that kind of surprised you? That you thought, well, damn, that was fucking awesome. We can cuss on here. This is our podcast.
Yeah. Well, first off, I wasn't really expecting to go and watch the Legend of Zelda Link's Adventure game.
Oh my gosh.
I love that game. I love, that's one of my favorite Zelda games, but it was 4 in the morning.
Yeah. But,
I was up for it, and I'm like, this is great. I'm going to go watch that. Had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my number one run that I saw that I was not expecting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was really good. This is you probably already heard about this, but the Link to the Past Swordless run too. The Zelda block was really great there.
Yeah.
And it was also should have been prime time, and it got pushed back to in the middle of the night. It was just a really
odd time for it.
Really odd time for it. And a lot of that had to do with the setup block for Tetris. Took 86 minutes. 86 minutes knocked the entire schedule off track.
There's quite a few games that you can play and complete in less time than the Tetris setup.
Yeah, it took I mean, the Tetris setup has always been and Tetris has kind of been a staple here at GDQ, and rightfully so. It's wildly impressive. Kevin DDR especially, shout outs to him. He's an ungodly skilled gamer. With that being said, for those who don't know, they play Tetris Grandmasters usually in these things.
Yeah.
There's no home version of that. They're not playing on a console, so they bring these really elaborate arcade setups and then have to run it through the GDQ equipment. And sometimes, every single time, it seems like they run into a massive problem. Is it getting to the point where maybe we got to be like play a home Tetris or like, you know, because think about all the games that could have been in there during that 86 minutes.
I think
I don't want to interrupt you, but before I say that, there was 86 minutes of setup times for about 20 minutes of run.
So, I mean, that's not the only game that had over double the amount of setup time for a run. Marble Madness took about 5 minutes setup and only about 3 minutes to complete. But, Grandmasters is really awesome. It's something that most people don't get to see. It is an arcade game. So, like, being able to see that, and the people that do it it's really awesome seeing. And they do, like, 2-player, 1-controller stuff, and it's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't seen it, everyone's pretty much kind of a fan of Tetris, but this is Tetris on a new level. And I don't know if the other versions do it as good of a justice as if from the Grandmasters. Mm-hmm. That said, maybe there's some way to, have the setup being taking place during a run, some other games that they're instantly able to cut over. Mm-hmm. There's definitely sometimes in setup where you're like, hey, why can't we do it like this? And maybe I expect, staff to understand that and have thought of that. But, maybe there's something where they could talk about it a few months beforehand and try to get it all fleshed out, because there has to be something.
Yeah, I think at this point it's like it's we know Tetris is going to be hard to set up. I think we need to make some sort of arrangements for that, because I still want to see Tetris. Like,
absolutely,
especially Kevin DDR. Like, I'll say his name a couple times because he's really ungodly good at that game and just wildly impressive. And I could watch him game forever. And like watching those guys and gals on the joysticks in the practice room is like a sight to behold. Like, Tetris Grandmasters was the practice room game this year. Tons of people were playing it all over the place. So it's not. I don't think either one of us are saying like Tetris doesn't belong. We don't want Tetris or anything. But like, man, that setup time's got to be fixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know. Maybe it could be something that opens up GDQ. That way, the setup time's not even on camera.
That's actually a really great idea. Yeah, just open it up with Tetris. Like, let's just get it started with
It brings people in. Everyone's familiar with Tetris. It's one of those games that everyone's mom stole their Game Boy when they were a kid to play Tetris.
That was just a genius suggestion right there. That's how you do things. Yeah. Outside of that, I think one of the hot practice room games this year was One Mind.
Yeah.
One Mind.
Yeah. So
go ahead. Describe One Mind to me.
Yeah. For those that are not familiar, Dr. Cool, he made a hack or a mod of Super Mario World where you take 2 players and they don't share inputs, but every so often, like 30 frames, it will change from Mario to Luigi. And so player 2 has to kind of mirror the same controls that player 1 was doing, and that switches back and forth between them. And there's a few different setups for it, but most people play the 30-frame setup, so you're changing every twice a second. And if you're not playing along, if you're not paying attention in that 30-second or that 30-frame window, you could die, because like there's a lot of running, there's a lot of jumping, and it's just something where you both have to be in sync. One of the ideas that we had, why me and Grant Keys were playing that this week, was to ask Dots if he could do a 4-player version. And literally he's like, yeah, I got my laptop, and like 2 hours later he came out with a version that did 4 players.
Yeah, he was testing it like about 8 minutes after Jaku asked him this, which is just a testament to Dots are cool and how amazing he is. But yeah, it literally took him a couple hours to add 2 more players, so it's One Mind and 4 players, which is incredibly difficult. He even added our names in it.
Yeah, so the characters were Poo, Keys, Water, and Jaku.
Yeah.
Keys obviously being for Grand Keys and Water for X Water.
Yeah.
And then Poo for Grand
Poo and Jaku. I think you guys know who they are, though, if you're listening to this point.
What's really funny, though, is we were playing it last night, and we got to the first castle, and we couldn't get through the door because it kept taking us to a bonus world. For whatever reason, the counter for player 3 and 4 was always counting up, and so it took us to the bonus world. Eventually, I took over for Keys, and I was playing 2 players, and Water and Cliffy were playing for the other 2, so it was like 3 players, 1 mind. I just had to swap controllers, and we got through the room, and we got to the boss fight in time, but Dots saw that. He's like, I can fix that. And like 10 minutes later, he came out with a patch. But like it was really fun. And we actually ended up doing a whole playthrough, not a full playthrough, but enough to beat the game.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fantastic. It took about 30 minutes though, which
Yeah.
I think is pretty good for non Super Mario World runners, all like fumbling over each other.
Yeah, and that's 11 exit for the record.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the quickest way through the game. In something we'll definitely be doing more of that at TwitchCon.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna be playing that game at TwitchCon. Probably do a stream at TwitchCon of 4 of us.
Yeah, it's gonna ruin friendships, but you know what? I think our friendships are strong.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really interesting with me who speedrun, knows a little bit of speedrunning about Mario World, and with the other guys who may not necessarily. I'm gonna be like, we need to go fast, guys. We're flying over this.
Honestly, going fast is the tech.
It's
like,
the tech.
Everyone can kind of go fast if you just kind of be like, okay, just jump when you really
jump when you think.
yeah, jump when you think. It almost always works. We did much better when we just ran and just kind of believed in ourselves than when we're like second guessing each other and people are turning back. Like 90% of the times we died is when one player's like, no, I gotta go back left.
Yeah, I think that's like the two-player, one controller. Like anytime you're kind of doing those shared things, one mind, two-player, one controller things. That's kind of what it is. You want to make it as much about instincts as you can,
right? And
not about like, hey, you
can't think about it.
Yeah, let's you and me look and count down for perfect timing because it just doesn't work like that. You just kind of got to let your natural skill take over. You know?
Yeah. One of the funnest things is again, I never remember the level name, but right after the first castle, you get flight. And if you fly over the pipe, you can get the key. And it's 4 of us, and we're like, how can we stay in sync with this? Because not only was it 4 players changing every 30 frames, it was a random order. So it wasn't going to go Poo, Grand, Jaku, Water, Poo, Grand, Jaku, Water. It was Poo, Grand, Water, Poo, Jaku, Water, back and forth. And so we were literally sitting there in sync saying, now. So that no matter what, we all were pressing it on the right time to, keep that flight up.
Yeah.
And people around us were like, they're in some sort of cult. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we had a crowd by the end of it, and we managed to defeat Bowser, and it was absolutely a blast. And like people are like, I've never seen this, which is great.
One thing I was a little bummed to see, and maybe it's because all the Mario guys all our runs were late in the week, is I didn't see the usual Darby and wiping the floor with people in 4-player verse Mario. And that's another hack made by Dots Are Cool, actually. So he took the verse Mario that's existent in the Mario 3 version of Mario All-Stars. That's a tongue twister right there. He added 2 more players to it. I believe Carlos and Pavlo are their names.
Yeah, those are his 2 go-to staples.
So you have Mario, Luigi, Carlos, and Pavlo. I don't know. No, you get no Waluigi and no Wario with Dots Are Cool.
Those would have been the obvious names, but
Yeah, Carlos and Pavlo. I didn't see that going down till the last day here today, and of course I walked over, and Darby immediately won. Which shout out to him. He's just ungodly good at games. It's been really really cool seeing like that. There's a lot of ROM hacks going on.
Yeah, I think they're getting a lot more popular, accepted for sure. Like you saw Super Penguin World, which we'll talk about later, but like more ROM hacks and just in general, people are getting more involved. And do you think that has to do anything with Mario Maker in some regard, where people are now like, hey, I want to, like, Mario Maker is fun. I can do some stuff, but I've seen some ROM hacks where I can do a whole lot more.
I mean, I have to think, I've actually talked about this with Carl Sagan a couple times. Like, we kind of thought for a while Mario Maker was going to kill the ROM hack community, or at least the Mario ROM hack community, but it seems to have done the opposite. It seems to have made people more motivated to go out and seek these ROM hacks, make more ROM hacks. Like,
there's been like just being part of the Mario Maker community, I can think of like 3 Mario Maker streamers that have created their own ROM hack at this point.
Yeah. And I think in general, just like as we're getting smarter and we know more and more about how these games are coded, and we can adjust it and alter it, and people are creating tools to alter the games. I know Super Metroid's got a large ROM hack community. Yoshi's Island's got a pretty decent ROM hack community. As that's happening and people are discovering that they can, they can play their favorite game over again in a whole different way, like that is very appealing to I don't want to say a large group of people, but a certain subsect of gamers.
Well, I mean, look at Legend of Zelda Randomizer.
That's a great example, though. Yeah, that's exactly. A wonderful example.
It's taken off huge. Like, people are people that never would have thought about running it are expecting or wanting to run it. People that have never played Link to the Past are asking about it.
Oh yeah,
and are practicing it and trying it out for the first time. And if you want to get into the randomizer, I would definitely suggest you play the game vanilla first, at least a few times to kind of get the understanding and how to play it. There was a few people that were asking earlier this week and like, hey, I've never played this. Should I just start randomizer? And it's like, no, you should probably play the basic game a little bit.
Yeah, there was
at least learn the speed strats for the first 3.
Trying to think of there's one run, the Heroes of Might and Magic 6 run.
Yeah.
I want to give a special shout out to that run. I was a bit inebriated watching that run, and I don't know what it was, but I was just losing my mind at how funny I thought that game was, and I I just want to reference that run, and I think everyone should watch it, but watch it after a few beers. Yeah, because that's when you're going to get your peak performance for that run. I thought it was really, really funny, and the Heroes of Might and Magic series has interesting lore, to say the least. Lore.
AGDQ 2016, 3 a.m., Snowfats.
That's what it reminds. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. Except Snowfats was trying to be funny, and these guys just took their game so seriously, and it's such not a serious game that like not even that it's not a serious game. It's like a 1999 PC game, and is
that the one where they become like they're like an alien race?
Okay, yeah. So the humans, they explain the lore, and this is when I lost it. This is when I absolutely lost it. Was they explained the lore of this game, and it's like humans go to a different planet, some demon aliens come also to that planet, destroy all the technology. They go back to barbaric times. Eventually, they find a supercomputer that they need to repair.
Of course.
I kind of I don't know what happened after that because I literally just like me and Ryukar just kind of like lost. Like I thought I was gonna pee my pants. I was laughing so hard at it, and a lot of that might have had to do with the alcohol. But like, yeah, it was like one of those ones that like it was so ironically funny to me, and in a great way. Like not anything against the runners. It was a really it really like summed up GDQ to me, like because I was just like, man, these two guys on here, and there's probably more of them out there that are literally dedicating their lives to this random 1999 PC game.
Yeah. And like you don't think that with the title that it's going to go that way at all, and like just
it's like a complete fantasy setting, and then all of a sudden you're like, it's like you're in Fallout. It's really weird. Yeah, it's really strange, but. That was cool. There's been a lot of other cool things, like a lot of good staples. The Dark Souls was run today. Demon Souls.
Really good. Yep. I found myself watching the Final Fantasy VII run a lot.
Oh yeah,
it was more than I was expecting.
Yeah, it was on in the middle of the night. It was like a nice, comfy 8-hour stream that happened from midnight to 8 a.m. and it was
commentating on that was amazing.
Yeah, they kept up the energy. Like it was. I went to sleep when they were at 4 hours. I woke up when they were at 7.5 hours. Which again, just emphasizes how little sleep you get at GDQ. Right. And like the couch like still was on point. Like they all still had energy, which 8 hours in the middle of the night to keep that energy up was just wildly impressive.
Yeah, and I don't know if they slept beforehand or if they were just, like where their schedule was at, like if they were planning on being up. I'm sure they were planning on, but with the change in schedules, like things shifted.
Yeah,
I know there's been like some runners that were expecting to be on at certain times and come from different time zones completely.
Yeah,
and it threw them through loops. But the Final Fantasy VII, like I was expecting to watch that, but not like get that involved into it, and like I didn't realize how much I forgot about that game.
Oh man, I saw Cloud snowboarding at one point. I like woke up and saw Cloud snowboarding, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" I do not remember this part in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, there's a lot in that game, and I'm super excited for the remake now, more than I realized I was.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna say I'm hesitantly excited for the remake. Yeah, hesitantly excited for the remake. But
yeah, just seeing some of the story and being like, man, if this does have updated graphics, this would look nice.
It would. It's kind of weird because in PS1 times, like that was like mind blowing graphics, and that was a lot of the appeal of Final Fantasy VII was the mind blowing graphics it had. But man, watching it. The PS1 is dated,
yeah.
You know?
Well, what was really interesting, too, is going from Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy VIII graphics, where they went completely, like, almost really realistic looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, like, in my mind, and I'm sure if I pull up a screenshot, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm wrong. But, like, I remember that looking so much better, much more realistic.
Yeah.
But, you know, there was only so much they could do with that power still. But it's just interesting to be, like, from 7 to 8, like, there was that big change, but 7's still more or less the same.
Yeah. Were there any trends you saw this year here at SGDQ?
There was a few trends I saw. One specific trend. I've seen a lot of people with fidget spinners.
A lot of fidget spinners.
I feel like I feel like we have one person to hold accountable for that one.
Yeah, for the so Average Guardian, who is a friend of the podcast here, and as actually
He
right
may
now
or
as
may not
we,
be sleeping.
yeah, as we're doing
Yeah.
this, as we're recording this, he's literally sleeping behind us, which again emphasizes the lack of sleep we all get.
Yeah.
He came.
It's 6 p.m. by the way.
He came to SGDQ here with a suitcase, literally one suitcase, and all it had in it was branded Grand Pooh Bear fidget spinners. And I didn't realize this was going to happen beforehand. I didn't even see them at first until I got a tweet about it, which A, like, thank you so much, Average Guardian, for doing that, because it's hilarious. B, I think everyone got one, and they were like they were just kind of swiping them. And, Average Guardian was giving them to everybody, and it's like you start spinning it. Ironically, you're like, look at me, I got a fidget spinner, and then all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, you're not spinning it ironically anymore.
Yeah, as we speak,
you're just spinning it.
As we speak, Grand Pooh Bear is literally spinning his.
I am literally spinning.
I don't know
mine.
if he realized it either.
Yeah, I didn't. No, I actually didn't. It's like one of those things that, like, I was told I wasn't someone who got fidget spinners before.
Yeah.
I get them now.
Yeah, I mean,
get it.
I'm I haven't spun one yet. Shit.
I just handed him the one. Yeah, move it up and down. Move it up and down. Yeah.
That's nice. I don't know. This is a world first spinning on the podcast of me fidget spinning.
Thank God we're in the same room for this conversation.
Yeah, because this would not have worked well over the internet at all. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, like absolutely, everyone has these. It's hilarious, and like we started realizing that they do break with how much people are using them. So a few people have 3, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna keep one, spin this one, and when it breaks, I'll spin this one." Yeah. So it's absolutely amazing. But like just about everyone has it, and it's hilarious.
And she's sorry, just as this happened, as Jaku was talking, Cheese 05 just finished his Mario 64 run with 140, which is an insane Mario 64 time.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
120 star, like just a ridiculous, insane time. Like, props to that guy, like over and over again. He's so good.
Yeah, I think it takes me like 2 hours to get
70.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so good.
It's just the runs in general. Like there've been a lot of really good runs and a lot of like really good like times. There's been a few world records. There was a problem earlier in the week with some world records.
Let's talk about that actually. So, word on the street is that at least for the first day, that the clock at SGDQ here was running about a second fast every minute.
Yeah.
Which some of you out there might be like, oh, well, that's not a big deal. Well, multiply that over a 55-minute game. That's 55 seconds. And speedrunning, that's a massive amount of time.
A minute off your time is huge.
Yeah, that's a massive amount of time. So there was a little bit of fear that a Symphony of the Night record got set.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in limbo from what I understand right now. Like, no one's, like, we're kind of all in limbo on if it actually was a record or not.
I haven't seen one way or the other than some people suggesting, like, is it or not. Nobody's come out and said yes from what I've seen officially. And I know that GDQ has done an official tweet letting everyone know that there was an error and it has been fixed.
Yeah.
But, that's absolutely devastating to those runners if they thought they got a world record. Mm-hmm. And then turns out they didn't.
Yeah, I even had like Author Blues. I was talking to him, and he got the Rocky and Bullwinkle world record in AGDQ, and now he's kind of worried that is a false world record,
right?
So maybe it goes all the way back to AGDQ.
All 4 people running Rocky and Bullwinkle are probably like, yes, please be. Don't be real.
Yeah, I think it's one person running Rocky and Bullwinkle. Me particularly, I had a Super Dram World run last year, and I as I went into Bowser, I looked down at my time, and I thought, man, my time is better than I'm playing right now. So I mean, that could have just been my thinking. I could have just been being hard on myself. But yeah, I who knows how far back this may or may not have gone. I don't. It's not like a conspiracy or anything. I don't want anyone to think that. It's just it's just an error. Yeah, computers happen. GDQs is their own software.
Their entire setup is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
I think they've shown it off a few times, and I think they have some like guides on how they have done their stuff in the past. So try to look for those, and if those don't exist, maybe we can find them. But it's absolutely amazing. It all still runs through OBS, but they like the setup and all the software they use is absolutely mind blowing. And like the interface looks so nice, and they kind of change it up every year or every 6 months. So like a lot goes into it. So something messing up like the timer is a huge deal, but at the same time, like something's going to actually fail at one point.
Things break.
Likely. And,
things break.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't fault them too much for it. It was caught early on, and anything that got a world record, hopefully we'll be able to find out an actual response on that later. But it does it does suck for some of those runners that thought they got world record, and hopefully in some cases they still have them.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the hypest run of the week?
Honestly, I think it was the Super Mario Relay Race, and you're right here, but honestly, like that room, like if you look at this at the stream, a lot of the rooms were empty. The room was empty for a lot of runs. I think one. Let's talk about that before we get into the run, I guess, because I think there's been more things happening outside of the stream room this year than any year I've ever been.
Yes, and I also think, totally, definitely. I think this setup here is a bit weird because in SGDQ and AGDQ Pass, like you can't really avoid walking by the stream room.
Right, and now it's kind of out of your way.
Yeah, here at this particular hotel, which we're at the Hilton, the Marriott City Center in Minneapolis, which, by the way, is the shittiest nice hotel of all time. Like nobody likes this hotel, but it does have a pretty cool setup for GDQ. On the 6th floor, we got arcade cabinets and pinball machines,
casual room,
practice room. There's PC rooms down on like this big kind of main open floor. They've got like all the board gaming going on. A ton of people are hanging out there doing different things. They've got like blow up couches to watch the stream on, and like that's another thing is like I can watch the stream right next to the stream room on those blow up couches.
Comfy. Yeah,
super comfy.
Yeah, and
they can hear commentary great.
But they didn't have that before. They never like there's been rooms where you could go and eat food and stuff, where they had some TVs. But these are like nice little comfy blow up couches that you can just lay back on, like you're at home almost, and just hang out with people there.
Yeah, I think another problem is the acoustics in the room. The stream room itself are not good, and it's very hard actually to hear commentators when you're in the room.
Yeah, and especially like in previous times, like the cheering. You would hear loud cheers, but you could still hear for the most part.
Yeah.
But during large donations, they would say, "Hey, $10,000," and then you wouldn't hear by who, and half the message would not be heard.
Exactly.
But before that was no problem.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's an interesting, and again, that's literally no fault of GDQ at all. Like they can't predict exactly how the acoustics are going to sound when they rent out a place. You know what I mean? So it's just like one of those things. I think the hotel setup itself may have actually hurt the stream room attendance this year.
Right.
Which is interesting. I also think it was a schedule that was pretty loaded to the back end. You know what I mean? Like just today alone has had some, and we're recording this on Saturday. You guys are listening to it on Monday. It's all over at this point. But today's runs alone, like we had just an ungodly amount of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn because I was part of it, but I have to say, like, man, that Mario Relay Race had a crowd involvement. Yes.
Right. It had a huge crowd, and obviously Mario's a huge game for speedrun.
Mario's always going to be.
Everyone knows Mario. Everyone can play Mario. Not everyone can play it great, but everyone loves to see it played great. And then the relay race had 15 racers?
Guys, 15 of the best Mario players in the world.
14 of the best Mario Maker players in the world, and Grand Poo there.
Fair.
So you got 15 crowds. You got 15 different people that are fans of these people and these games, and so it only makes sense that the rooms can be packed because of that alone. You guys could have played anything, and your community would have been like, let's go watch them play, whatever. But it was absolutely fantastic, and 5 games were raced.
5 games,
and in between, the races were very close up until the end.
Yeah. I mean, we finished within 43 seconds of each other. At one point in time in Super Mario World, with about 5 minutes left in the game, the two runners were about 5 to 10 seconds apart at different times.
Yeah.
And for a minute, we thought we were going to see a pretty good lead change, and my Team Birdo, was going to take over and win. But Truman just kind of like manned up and took it home, and and shout out to Team Boom Boom who won, Lack Attack, who just had an insane Mario 1 run. BJW, Karua, the SMB3 god, and which getting to meet Karua this week was like such a cool thing for me because I'm such a big fan of Karua. And
your run was,
yeah.
I've been watching you practice for months, and that was a really great run.
Oh man, I felt like my run was ungodly until literally about 10 jumps from Bowser. You know what I mean? In Bowser's castle, I just made a horrible mistake. You know, I lost my hammer suit right before Bowser. Like I really did. I had a pretty good run up to that point, and
I think that was about the time Tina Hacks donated.
Yeah. Tina Hacks definitely destroyed that run for me. But yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it was ungodly good. Like, and Darwin came back in, and like the Lost Levels guys, man, the Lost Levels portion was brutal. Like everybody made mistakes.
I don't think I've yet to beat that game.
Yeah, it's a hard game.
Yeah, you played it in your whole Mario week when you did that one time.
It usually takes me an hour and a half, 2 hours to play it. And
I
I played it a lot of times. Yeah.
I think I played it as a kid, and then I've picked it up a few times here and there, but never like committed, be like, let's go beat this. But watching them, like they still make it look hard. It's one of those games where like you can be really good at it, but it still looks hard to do. Mm-hmm. Whereas like in certain games, like I guess Mario 3, like some of the stuff you do, it looks almost easy, but I don't know. Like I don't want to say it's too easy because I know it's absolutely not. I've done a little bit of speed running on Mario 3. I've done Wrong Warp and I've done like World 1 and 2, but like besides that, like it's still a hard game. All these are hard games.
Lost Levels in particular though is just very, I mean it's set up like Lost Levels is like, it was basically Mario Maker before Mario Maker in a lot of ways. Like it's like a Kaizo hack of SMB1. Like Lost Levels is
absolutely
just a fucking hard game, and it has a lot of weird tech. And like in Mario 1's like physics are not super easy to control either, and so it adds to it.
Going to Lost Levels again, like there's so many backup strats they have for that game, and power-ups in weird spots. Yeah, and power-ups in weird spots that no casual player would find. I remember them going down into a pipe that's normally just full of coins and like hitting a question mark, right by the entrance that they came in. And it's like, what?
Yeah, I had never seen that before. That one blew my mind.
What shitty Mario Maker guy created this? Like this doesn't feel like a Nintendo game to have a power-up right there, but they're like, haha, we're gonna put it here, no one will find it.
Yeah, I'm glad. And I used to be like, oh, Nintendo should have brought that game out. You know what? After playing it, honestly, Nintendo made probably the right decision for all us 80s kids here in the U.S. We would have fucking hated that game.
I honestly like Super Mario 2 for US was kind of the game I remember as a kid playing and beating faster than any other Mario game. Like with warps obviously, but like I remember I knew the strats, I knew exactly what to do, and I was like 6-7 years old, and that was probably my first speed run. If I was to like be able to call it out, it would have been Super Mario World or Super Mario 2. And I think the music in that game was fantastic. I think the graphics being different made it huge, and I think the Nintendo definitely made the right choice, not for just difficulty, but like the new experience, because I don't think we would have got that game otherwise. And we would have lost out on a really great fun Mario game.
Let's talk about Super Panga World real quick. Me and Carl were on the couch for that along with Panga. For those who don't know, that's a Mario World ROM hack right there. And actually, I kind of want to mention a few things too, like all the setup. Actually, let me go back before I talk about this. The Mario Relay Race. We had an incredible amount of setup too.
Yeah, you had 3 different consoles.
Yep.
Plugged in.
Well, yeah, 3 different consoles. Well, actually, 6 different consoles technically. Actually, 7 different consoles because one guy played on Famicom Disk System.
That's right.
Yeah, so technically we had 7 different consoles had to be plugged in. Each team had our own tech guy who stood there next to us and literally put the game in for us and plugged in our controllers, and so they didn't let us even touch their systems. Yeah. But that wasn't even foolproof because during Super Mario Brothers 2 for my team, Sven was getting these weird glitches.
Yeah.
And he actually played out of his mind up to 4-1. Then we paused it, let him warp back to 4-1, and we restarted the race. But that was like an incredibly horrible, shitty thing to happen.
Yeah, we were watching in the crowd, and I was able to see overall the crowd and see on the actual TV that it was happening there too. Because a lot of us in the crowd were thinking like, oh, is it just on the stream? Is it just on the projector? But no, it was on his TV. And for him to be able to get from World 1 to World 4 as well as he did with that happening is just a testament to like how well these players are. And so I was excited to see that they paused the games because that's what I was expecting. I'm like, all right, if this is going to go on, they're going to have to just pause and let him warp to World 4, which was perfect. It worked out.
Yeah.
Do you think that had anything to do with like a bit of the like problems though? Do you think if it wasn't like that in the beginning that he would have got a little bit more of a lead, or do you think he just still played his best?
Sven?
Yeah.
Sven played. I think the having to go back to the warps really killed his momentum because he actually really did good while it was glitching out.
Right.
He was keeping pace. But yeah, after he had to reset, go back to warp, I think just kind of doing like I know for me, when I have one level go bad, like I compound those errors sometimes because I get out of my rhythm, out of my groove, and I think that kind of sucked him out of his groove. A bit more than the other runners because he had to go replay those other levels in a completely different strat that he wasn't thinking about.
That being said, too, though, what about the players that had to pause and wait for 3-4 minutes? Like they were out of their run at that point, too.
I actually talked to Just Defend about that, and he said it kind of relieved some of his nerves he had or some of his because it was going by so fast. It gave him a time to think about what he was going to do next. Whereas that is important. Like Sven didn't have that time. Like he had to just go back and run and get in there. And and everyone's in the crowd's waiting for him to get back to 4-1, so he's got to get there quick.
And he still doesn't. He doesn't want to showboat too much, but he still wants to get there quick so people aren't like being bored.
Exactly.
I think he did a great job.
Yeah, I think he handled it well. I don't think anyone's mad at him for that or anything. But that by the end of SMB2, we were in a deep hole. We were in a deep hole that we tried to fight our way out of. And we gained ground through the next 3 games. We just couldn't get it all there,
Yeah. I mean, it was a great race in the audience. The energy was high. Everyone was having a good time. And again, we talked about it in episode 0, which you're never here. The energy between speedrunners and the crowd, it didn't matter who was winning, and like everyone was biting their nails on all of it, especially near the end. Like we were on the edges of our seats.
Yeah, so I mean, I remember me and Lack Attack were sitting next to each other, and I look over at him, and I'm just this is like during Mario World, so it's almost over at this point. I look over at Lack Attack, and he's on the edge of his seat, and so am I, and we both said to each other like, I've never felt this, like I'm more excited for their run than my run. I've never felt like this, like it just felt hype, and it felt, and I tell you right now, to us racers, it felt important. Like we all really wanted to win, and it felt important, and it felt it. I don't want to say esport, but that had an esport atmosphere. I think everyone can agree that had an esport atmosphere, that particular race, and hopefully we can do more of those and see more of those things because I definitely. I had a lot of fun being a part of that. I
mean, just being in the crowd, it's so much fun to see that, and like the amount of dedication each of these players have put into those games over time, it shows. What was your time when you first started playing Mario 3?
When I submitted, it was like 55-46, and then I dropped it down to a 52-46, but with really bad RNG, my PB has. So it's I had significant improvement upon my time. And, and everybody put in a lot of work.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like with your work and everyone else's, like, and some of these guys have been playing these games for much longer than you, but you and everyone else were able to keep up and just make the race exciting, not only for yourselves, but for the viewers and the crowd. And it was absolutely amazing.
Raised a lot of money too.
Before we get into our next topic, I just remembered one thing. What do you think about the Earthbound incentive for the naming the Poo character? Have you seen the totals?
Yeah, I just saw it. I think it's actually really kind of cracking me up. I couldn't believe that's happening. So for those who don't know, I have an alter ego, Melvin, which will pop up on Halloween. And right now for the Earthbound file name for Poo, which Poo is a character in Earthbound. Shout out to Nintendo.
Yeah.
Stealing my name. Jeez, guys. But right now the leading file name choice for Earthbound is Melvin. It's literally Melvin. So shout out to whoever did that out there in the community and to everybody who's still donating to that. But you're also now, I'm going to end up staying up and watching fucking Earthbound all night when I wanted to go to sleep because I got a flight in the morning,
It won't be a bad run, but yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny just to see that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. One more thing we want to talk about, I think, mostly just because I was involved in it. The Super Panga World run by Dodecahedron, Dode, one of our good friends. Just search Dodecahedron. I'm sure you guys know exactly how to spell that.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's super easy if you want to watch him and follow him. But he absolutely destroyed Super Panga World.
Yeah. So let's talk about his submission time.
Yeah. Okay. So he also got the entire marathon back on track. Oh my God, there it is. It's good.
Melvin's currently at 1570. with Chris at 1065.
Oh yeah, we're definitely winning. But yeah, Super Panga World is it's an incredibly difficult game.
It's so difficult looking
Yeah.
from an outsider view, and like he submitted that game with an hour and 10 minute for his run.
Yeah, he beat it in 32 minutes.
Yeah,
And that's a testament to how what God gamer he is. And I just more than that, I want to talk about like I'm really glad GDQ will take some risks like that,
right?
With games that might that games have like because that that game and like Dram World in January, and even you can even go back to like Mitch Flower Power's Kaizo SMB3 run. Like all these games have like what do I want to say, like shit could go wrong potential.
Yeah, they're ROM hacks, right?
Yeah.
So they're not well tested in all regards. They didn't go through the same Club Nintendo testing that the original games went through, and they've added things and they've moved things around in different spots, and some of these things can go wrong. But that more than that is that a lot of people aren't familiar with those games. They know that they're a ROM hack, but like they don't know like how difficult it is or how easy it is, and they might see Super Panga World, be like, I don't know what the game is. It's probably some shitty game that came from a cereal box.
Yeah.
So like the crowds there really need to be informed to kind of know what it is. And I think, I don't know if SGDQ does any or GDQ does any sort of like thing on that. I think just the communities out there, they come together and they're like, this is going to be awesome. And people go out and check it out, and they're, it's a good thing for them to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is one of the runs of the marathon that people should watch, and not just because I was involved, and not just because we were awesome couch and funny, but because of Dode's skill.
I saw threads about your commentating.
Yeah,
it was people were very happy about it. I think a few people were a little with the puns. Carl, if you're listening,
me and
what
Carl,
are you gonna do about it, Dode? Like, you were failing at water level, like so many good ones that you missed.
Well, yeah, me and Carl kind of played the good cop, bad cop on that.
You did really well.
And I shout out to, like, I can't express how much we here at the podcast love our good friend Carl Sagan.
Oh yeah,
too. And we just think the world of him. He's a gigantically huge streamer, and he doesn't give a fuck about that. He's just massive. He does not give a shit about that. I think one other thing I want to shout out actually this week is we got to meet hanging out with Moon a lot.
Oh yeah, Moon OW.
Yeah, which has been like, first of all, like, whoa.
Yeah.
And second of all, what a down to earth dope human being.
Yeah, no, like absolutely amazing. I spent like 4 or 5 hours just shooting the shit with him in the lounge. We were making fun of all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And just like having a fun time. And like, it didn't matter that I'm a much smaller streamer than him at all. We were able to have a great conversation, and we found common ground very easily. And it was very humbling and like just exciting to be able to talk with him.
Exactly. Yeah. I really felt the same way. I thought cool guy. Just a really cool guy. I can't express how awesome he is. We actually talked about who our favorite streamers were that got us into streaming, and we talked about like playing multiplayer games with them and how you still get nervous, and senpais have senpais, like the
exactly.
whole thing. Yeah, I had a lot of great conversations with him. We escaped from a room with him.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
one of the escape rooms. He was in our team, which we 23 seconds
yeah,
left.
Yeah, I think we had 23 seconds left. I'm not gonna. We kind of got nudged along at the end a little bit,
but we got misguided, and
we did get misguided. We got kind of screwed on one thing. Like we got blatantly lied to on one clue, or not a clue, but she said nothing would be above head level, but she meant that specifically for our person who was 7 foot in the room. Yeah, because there was definitely something that was above head level.
And let's not forget Carl Sagan forgetting how to use a microscope.
Yeah. I had to teach Carl how to use a microscope, so we could. Science my ass.
Yeah, Carl was looking at the slides and being like, "Yeah, this is a mushroom. Yeah, this is dog tissue. Yeah, this is this." And Pooh's like, "It can't just be that." And he looks and there's numbers on the slides.
Yeah.
But then you and you're colorblind.
No, we almost lost a clue because apparently I'm colorblind. Yeah. Tell this story. Yeah,
we're the final clue. We need a number, and like we find a little card in a book that has all these red dots and stuff on it, and we had this pair of red goggles that changed your sight slightly, and using the red goggles with this card, you should have seen like blue equals a number. And Pooh had the goggles, and he looked at the cards. He's like, there's nothing on it. And so everyone's giving up. And I'm like, hold on. And I take the goggles, I look at the card, and I don't even say what the number is. I'm like, hey, Pooh, are you colorblind? He's like, oh, yeah, I think so. And literally, the number was on the card. It was just very hard to see. And we typed it in, and like the ending of this room was ridiculous.
Oh,
it was
my
these
God.
like 6 water tubes that had different amounts of water, and they would raise and lower based on the code you enter. And like we're at a minute left when we enter this code, and it literally took 40 seconds basically for it to like drain and put in a tube and eject this tube that we had to put in another area in the room. And like at the end of it, we're clearing the room, we're making sure there's a path from that machine to the door that we got to get to. And Pluto, he just grabs it, runs, gets it in, and we successfully exit the room with 23 seconds. And it was absolutely hilarious, just all the things that went wrong with all of our skills. Like,
yeah. Like all of our main skills in that one, I think we used. Like
there was a computer.
You didn't get the password to
Yeah.
the computer. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you didn't get that. Was like there was tons of different things that like, which is funny because everyone else helped out with what should have been our main skill. You know,
Right.
we had other people like taking care of that. You know, that was really fun. That was a really good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun playing those with friends.
Yeah, that was a really, really, really fun time. Yeah, I mean that kind of sums it up. I mean, I guess more or less for the SGDQ talk. Like that was we were not here to recap everything on the stream. You guys know what's happened there. We more kind of want to talk about what's going on behind the scenes here, the stuff you're not seeing. Tons of Magic the Gathering being played. Tons of
Mafia.
Mahjong. Yeah, tons of really fun games of Mafia.
Lupin,
Mafia is
Louis.
like a role play game for those who don't know, like kind of like Secret Hitler, you know, in that vein. But Carl Sagan's got his own little rules and spins on it.
Yeah,
It's really, really fun.
I heard a lot of good stories about that. And there's Lupin Louis, which is a weird little game, but
Yeah.
so much fun. There's so much going on, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in the next week on all of our streams.
Yeah, we'll probably keep remembering little tidbits and stories
Yeah.
as it goes on.
Yeah, like we had the huge raid that was just fantastic.
Yeah, we had an in-person Twitch raid
Yeah.
with like 40 people walking into Cliffy's room while he was streaming.
Yeah.
So that was funny.
I have a collection. I have a video of our view and Cliffy's view on my YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you want to check that out, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
They had no idea it was coming, and I think we scared them a little bit.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, no noise complaints.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, and there's been noise complaints here. This hotel, not everyone in this hotel is part of GDQ right now.
X Games.
There's some X Games guys, and some of them have not liked us.
Yeah.
There was like I think a high school girls volleyball tournament at first.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Which I told some of the younger runners, like, hey guys, what are you even doing over here in the practice room? Like, go hang out in the elevator till you meet a volleyball girl. Like, that's what I would do.
There was something like that happening when we were at California-thon as well.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, you're totally right. There was something like that. But yeah, it's been really fun, and it's just been a great time. I think if you ever get a chance to go to a Games Done Quick, even if you're just mildly interested in speedrunning, I think it's a really, 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 really awesome week and a really awesome time, and I totally think you should go.
Yeah, like not even knowing runs, just being excited for runs and the people that are running it. Like, there's so many people here that you can talk to and have so much fun with, and like everyone's very inviting. There was a person last night that was very shy in coming up to us, and a friend introduced them to us, and like I had a blast talking with them.
Mm-hmm.
We talked all about travel and what they did for a living and stuff, and like there's common ground somewhere. You just got to take that first step to kind of like make contact, and don't be afraid. Like, nobody here is going to be like, get away from me, I don't want to talk to you. Unless
They're busy.
they're
They got
super
something to
busy,
do with the friends.
and they're still be nice about it. They're like, hey, listen, like I'm hanging out with my friends right now. I'd love to talk to you when I have a minute, but now's not the time.
Yeah, made a lot of new friends this week. Made a
Yeah.
lot of new friends. That's for sure. Saw a lot of people from the Mario Maker community who we've only met through level creation, essentially.
Yeah, there was a huge amount of Mario Maker people here with no Mario Maker game on the schedule.
No. It's really good. Made a lot of new friends. Like every GDQ, did not get to hang out with everybody as much as I wanted at all. Like nearly as much as I wanted. Just tons of people that I wanted to hang out with more and meet more and kick it with. But it's just hard. Like, your time is just limited.
It really is.
I mean, I know we talk about it's 24 hours a day, and we sleep in like 3 of them. But it is just the time is limited. It's hard to do everything you want to do. But yeah, it's another really, really awesome Games Done Quick, and I definitely think we'll be back in January at Awesome Games Done Quick, and yeah, 100% sure. With that being said, let's hop into our first ever round of wait. You want a hot take or you want questions?
I think this is questions.
Okay, let's hop into our first ever
Ask the Broadcasters.
Is that what we're calling this?
I don't know.
Ask the Broadcasters.
That's the working title.
Okay,
We're coming up with something
if
better.
you have, you know what? In fact, if you can email us questions, you can tweet us questions at. Where are we tweeting these?
We have Warp World Watch right now.
Warp World Watch. We should we should just tweet at Warp World Podcast. We should make that.
I think podcast was too long.
Oh, okay.
And Warp World was taken.
Okay. Well, you know what? Just right now, tweet them at Jaku.
Yeah.
Do that. Tweet them at Jaku. All your questions here if you have questions. But yeah, let's fire off some rounds of questions here.
Yeah. So this first question comes from John L.
Hey, John L.
Loved the first podcast.
Lies.
I'm sure you have talked about it before, but it would be cool to hear how each of you got started in speedrunning and what game you first played.
Okay. Well, I got Super Mario Bros. 3 was my first speed game, which is funny because I didn't like drop it 2 months later, but I got kind of obsessed with Mario Maker a bit later. I never really got good at it until this leading up to this SGDQ. Yeah, that was my first speed game, and the reason I got into it was I was kind of like, I was just on Twitch, and I just kind of decided, like, you know what? If I'm going to spend all this time, I want to get good at one. I'm going to get really good at one game. And I just picked my favorite game and started speedrunning it. And I know that's kind of a silly story. I mean, I was really obsessed with speedrunning already, and like I had been watching Games Done Quick, and like if you guys saw my Dram World run, you've heard the story about what it really inspired me. But yeah, it's just yeah. I mean, I know it sounds simple, but I literally just picked my favorite game and started trying to play it fast.
Yeah. And like I've never officially speedran a game. I mentioned earlier in this podcast that Mario 2 was probably my very first one.
Yeah.
But like I played the hell out of that. And I think Link to the Past was also kind of another one that I would speedrun. I would definitely be like, how can I beat this as fast as possible? I don't want to turn off the console. I don't want to save.
Yeah.
So those were kind of the two games. Super Nintendo and Nintendo games were huge for me as a kid. And, just going through a game and being like, I want to play this really fast was not necessarily the thing I was trying to do. It was more so like, I want to play this and not save. But that said, I owed my viewers a speedrun for a while. So I got to do Yonoid on the NES.
Good choice.
Yeah. So that will probably be happening probably in August, just because I'm going to Taiwan and I'm going to DEF CON. So I got a few other things coming up.
Yonoid AGDQ 2018? Is that what next year is? Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. So we'll see. So I'm going to do Yonoid for my very first speedrun game. We'll see how it goes.
Absolutely.
We got another question from David A.
Hey, David.
As a new streamer, I'd be curious if there are any good resources out there for how to get a streaming system set up. I think there are high-level component requirements that are pretty clear, but I was wondering if there are resources available for how to set up overlays, create custom overlays, emoticons, notifications, etc.
Well, I think number one, like YouTube tutorials are probably pretty great place to start.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's probably the easiest, simplest way to start. Most of them will link you to what you need, which is going to be like OBS software.
Yeah.
Jack, as far as like overlays and stuff, what is a good place to go?
Yeah, nerdordie.com actually has a lot of good resources.
Completely agree with that.
Yeah.
In fact, he did all my overlays and notifications, but beyond that,
yeah, I use his free tool for my overlay on the bottom, and he's actually made some of my sub alerts. Absolutely fantastic work. Not to plug him or anything, but like honestly, he has a good YouTube that has a lot of tutorials. He's got like
tons of tutorials.
He's got like a
YouTube.
9-step tutorial on OBS.
Yeah.
And I think he's gonna rework it because there has been a lot of changes in OBS, but it's still gonna be very valuable information.
Yeah.
And again, it just goes to YouTube. You go to YouTube, you type in what you want, and it's like Google, but there's video.
Yeah, I really would. And like in this, I mean, he is our friend, but not to plug Nerd or Die. He has literally resources for you right now, and you could have a pretty hot, sexy stream, overlays, panels, buttons. He's even got like free notifications on there that he's giving away, like really good notifications. There's a lot of free stuff on there, and then there's premium content too. But like, don't worry about that. If you're trying to start out streaming, the whole key is just get streaming. And he's a great place. He has a great resource. It kind of might one-stop shop you, but.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of other things, it depends what you want to do, capture cards, yada, yada, yada. Yep. We go on for days about this, so.
Yeah. And leading into our last question, similar enough, but what's your preferred microphone for sound clarity? This is by Nick H, and I've recently been put in charge of a new product at work. I'm looking to produce a series of YouTube videos to help get people familiar. We plan on doing some voiceovers for the videos, and I don't want to sound like crap.
That makes sense. Nobody wants to sound like crap.
Yeah, so I think...
You want to sound good.
Yeah, I think the first question is really what your budget is.
Yes.
Because there's some microphones that are absolutely fantastic, but they're going to be expensive, and then there's some that are actually kind of decent for a low price. Mm-hmm. The microphone I'm currently using is actually a ATR 2100. It's a USB microphone. It cost me about $50, and the microphone that Grand Pooh Bear is on is an AT 2020. That's also USB.
Yeah, I actually, and at home I use the AT 2020 XLR microphone. So it's just not USB. It plugs into a mixer first.
Yep.
And I really like it. I think we got decent sound quality going on. Yeah,
that was definitely one of the compliments I heard for our first episode. Oh. I don't know how this will go because we're all I also normally use XLR at home. This is all USB today, but we'll see how it goes. But one big thing is a lot of people don't really realize that just recording from a mic, you might not sound great, but there's a lot of stuff you do post-processing that can clean up your voice a lot. It's a lot harder to do on live streaming because it takes a few milliseconds to do. But our editor will take this podcast and normalize our voices and do a few other
sexy.
Yeah, he'll do a little bit more magic than you wouldn't know. And if you're just doing voiceovers for pre-recorded stuff for your YouTube videos, you'll be fine. Adobe Audition, stuff like that will really help.
Yeah,
and again, there's tutorials.
Yeah, and if we want to go even on the cheap, you'll be fine with a blue snowball right at first. That's a
staple for many streamers.
It's just don't get the blue Yeti because the blue snowball is actually they're pretty much the same mic, but the Yeti's $100 more. Mm-hmm. A blue snowball is a fine mic and is going to work for 95% of streamers out there. It's not until you're really worried about small little details, and you shouldn't be worried about small little details when you're first starting out. If we're just applying this to streaming, obviously the voiceover guy, you need something a little bit better. But I think that's a fine little $45 microphone. You know, the Amazon Prime, it'll be at your house in 2 days for $45.
And another thing to really kind of worry and consider is your environment.
Yes,
we're recording in a hotel room, so it might not be the best quality right now. We'll see. But in my house, I have a few things set up, and I know you have the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have it. Kind of not soundproof. Speaking of soundproof, there's doors slamming all around here. Us in the hotel, just freaking
I'm just
out.
glad we haven't heard a siren yet.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to mention one thing about Minneapolis. Shit goes down here, man.
Oh man, it is worse than Detroit. I feel like
it is insane. There are sirens going on. There was an alarm the other morning. I don't know if you heard that. There was this big. We thought it was a tornado alarm for a while.
No, I heard it.
Yeah, it went on for a while, and just the streets at night, people that are going outside at night are it's fucking wild. I saw two people get in a fight in the middle of the street outside at 3 a.m, and then they just stopped and got up and kind of walked away together. Nothing's really stopped the fight at all. They just kind of were wore out, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. And they just kind of walked away together. Nothing.
It's a very interesting city.
Yeah, Minneapolis is. I wouldn't mind if we went to Denver next year for SGDQ. Hint, hint.
That'd be pretty great.
Not that any powers that be are going to listen to this. But right now, it's feeling a little warm in this room. In fact, I think it's feeling a little hot even.
Hot take. All right, so this hot take's actually from the Yeti, great sponsor of GDQ for many years.
They make T-shirts for those who don't know.
Yeah, I think you got a few.
Yeah, I do have more than a few. In fact, they sell a Grand Pooh Bear shirt at the Yeti. So yeah, I guess we should preface that. Technically, they do sell a Grand Pooh Bear shirt that I actually all that money goes to the charity, so I don't actually make any money off it. But we should preface that.
Yeah. So they tweeted earlier. Our donation.
We should first talk about this. There was a big post on Reddit, Speedrun Reddit, which I wouldn't necessarily say Speedrun Reddit is the go-to place for information. It is the go-to place for people bitching about speedrunning. But with that being said,
that's all of Reddit though.
There was a big post that actually I think had a couple legitimate points. The Yeti makes donations, and those donations are based off T-shirts that they sell for SGDQ. Basically, $4 from every $11 T-shirt goes towards SGDQ. One of the naming incentives for
Earthbound.
Yeah, one of the naming incentives for Earthbound was Ness, which is, I believe, the name of their mascot. Yeah, I believe it's the name of their mascot. And they donated a good amount of money to naming the mascot Ness. And it didn't seem to sit well with some parts of the community. It's interesting. Yeti, go ahead and read the tweet that the Yeti ended up setting out after this big Reddit post, by the way.
Our donation for Yeti equals Ness has been split between all other options evenly. Sorry for the Ness mess.
Oh, no, so they wanted to name Ness the Yeti.
Yeah,
sorry,
Ness
I
is the
missed
main character. Yeah.
Ness is the main character of Earthbound. They wanted to name him Yeti.
Yep.
Okay, so that.
Yeah, and then they show that they then linked to the Earthbound any percent donation incentives where you can see that it's been split evenly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you think about this?
I think,
is there a controversy at all?
I don't know if it's a controversy. I think one of the big things is like they are a company. They're donating money. Mm-hmm. They can kind of be like, yep, we're going to put $10,000 on this and no one's going to be able to match it. And that can upset some people. Mm-hmm. One of the other things was it was not just the Nest thing. From what I read was that they sniped the $1 million donation. We are at $9,900. We were $10,000 away, and one of my things and one of the things I read and I believe is that does like users and viewers out there will be less likely to donate if it hit $1 million. Mm-hmm. They want to be part of that last push to $1 million. Yeah. And if one company or whatever comes out and be like, here's $10,000, just take it to get us over there, they'll be like, oh, well, we hit $1 million, I don't have to donate. And that's money that's kind of being taken away from a charity. I don't know how many people out there that are thinking like that, but I'm sure there's a number. And every dollar counts for charity. Yeah. And at the end of the day, if the Yeti, waits till the $1 million, then I don't think there's any harm, no foul. But for every extra dollar you can get, you might as well try to get it.
Yeah, it is, and it is. It's not like the Yeti's playing on an even playing field. It's a lot different if, like, when Notch donates $10,000, that's a lot different. Which I'm sure people all have their hot takes about. Which and this is, and for the record, the only thing I'm going to say about that is, like, dude's giving a charity. Whatever you think about a guy, like, he's in your common goal right now. Yep. You can't, once your enemies, they can't always be your enemies. Sometimes they got to find middle ground. I remember Turtles teamed up with Shredder sometimes. So, like, if you think and he's not your enemy, but, like, you know what I mean? He's just a dude out there with different opinions.
Yeah,
different opinions.
But at the end of the day, like, we're all trying to do something good. Yeah,
exactly. You can't fault someone. Like, you can't hold something good against someone just because you deem they did something bad in the past. You know what I mean? But I think there is something to be said. Like, the Yeti is not necessarily playing on an even playing field. Technically, the money that the Yeti is donating is coming from me and you.
Right. When we buy T-shirts, it's the money that they're just putting it back in.
Exactly. They're not necessarily just, like, opening up their pockets and doing that. They're taking $4 and giving it to. And they're keeping $7 and whatever minus the manufacturing costs of the shirts. So it is interesting in that I personally think there is some validity. What do I want to say? It's valid. That Reddit post did kind of make a valid point. Like, we don't want the Yeti to just decide every single donation incentive in SGDQ.
Right.
On the other end, like, it's like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? At the other end, it's like money for charity, and, like, does it really fucking matter?
Right. At the end of the day, it's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
The nice thing is that the Yeti, they came out, they publicly spoke about it, and they're
agreed. Far from the only company that's had donation in name.
Yeah, exactly. They're far from it. They're just one of the first ones to be like, hey, maybe this isn't the best idea. Yeah. And they went back and they changed it, which, great job for GDQ to allow them to do, number one. But number two, like, you know what? If that's the way going forward, then they're probably not going to do it anymore, which is fine because they're still donate. I don't think they're going to be like, oh, no, we didn't get our name in there. By no means are they going to be upset. No. And I don't, this is just a nice way to kind of get all parties to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, props to the Yeti for even looking at it and kind of even addressing it, and just, you know what, and apologizing. Like, they said sorry. You can't really hold anything against them after that.
They didn't break any rules. There was no rule against it.
They didn't break any rules. If anything, it was kind of like a somewhat dick move. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if it was a dick move. It just probably wasn't necessarily the, like, classiest move.
I mean, I think it's been done before. It's been done so many years that now someone with a voice thought about it a little bit more, and it came out. And you know what? That's fine. moving forward, we probably won't see anything like that in the
They
future.
probably won't do. Yeah, they'll probably only do donation incentives for games being added. I
Yeah.
doubt they'll do many.
And
I doubt Yeti will donate to name incentives anymore.
But let's talk about that real quick, just because like they've done game incentives where it's like they're not even close, and it's like, hey, here's the game incentive, where like they just donate the rest of the money. I guess they had it there, but at the same time, like we got games from it. So they've done a lot of good for the community in general. So by no means is it bad that they tried getting a name in there.
Yeah, I don't think it was bad. I think it was better that they came out and changed and said sorry.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It wasn't necessarily bad, but I do think this is better.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think exactly. I don't think anyone was faulting them for it, other than like, hey, maybe we should look at this. It was a good way to bring it to light, and they agreed with it, and they brought it to light, and now everyone knows.
And actually, there is one more hot take I want to get your opinion on. Hot take. Jaku does it so good. Give me one more.
Hot take.
I want to talk about this is the first year GDQ took bits. All right. And they set a very lofty bits goal for Majora's Mask Blindfolded Run, which is actually playing in the background for us right now. They were going to fight Majora blindfolded if we raise
5 million bits.
5 million bits was essentially $50,000 is what is.
Yeah.
Am I translating that right?
$50,000.
$50,000. And then Twitch would actually match some of that if we hit certain incentives. We are not hitting that incentive at all. Unless
Jeff Bezos is out there and decides to donate 4 million bits.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's possible. But it's does not seem like we're hitting that incentive. It also, Twitch was actually going to donate up to $50,000 depending on if we hit these bit goals. We didn't hit any of them. Quite frankly, I don't want to say bits were like a bust in this stream, but when you donate bits to GDQ, you don't get a tax write-off as an individual person, and that de-incentivizes me to. I wouldn't spend my bits in there. I would donate my cash.
I mean, at the end of the day, bits cost more to get, and then that's money that could have gone towards charity. And yes, they're matched, but at the end of the day, like your $5, it cost you $8 to buy that to be able to send out $5. And everything else takes fees, but I think more or less it's not that bad because it's for charity, and you can write off the other donations. And I think definitely, like the bits were it was an experiment. I think if they had dropped at zero on all of the requirements, everything would have been a lot better. But at the end of the day, that'd be a lot less of amount. And I think the thing is, 5 million is a large number to people, and not everyone's 100% familiar with bits. Some people only come into Twitch 2 times a year
for GDQ.
And so it's new to them. They're not familiar with it. They're like 5 million. They might equate it with dollars. I know some streamers thought that when they first came out, like people were donating like 10 bits. Like, oh my god, $10. So like people don't necessarily understand the amount that a bit is, 1 penny. But at the end of the day, that 1 penny costs the donor a little bit more, and they don't get that charity write off. And that's kind of a thing that de-incentivizes people to donate for sure.
I agree. So it's kind of interesting. I don't want to say it was like a bust because it's about another $10,000 for charity raised throughout bits, but it definitely did not go as good as I think anybody was thinking. Twitch's number that they're going to match now is only like, it's like $2,500, I want to say. So like Twitch was gonna, depending on how many bits they said, Twitch is gonna match it up to $50K. That's not happening for sure. They had like tiers, so I think they're and that kind of sucks. Like we want. I definitely Twitch is owned by Amazon. Amazon just bought Whole Foods. We know they got cash. Like I want them to donate to this too. I don't know. It's kind of a bust. I wouldn't spend my money to donate on bits, and I donate every year. I donated over $600 this week.
And you and Carl matched Dode's deaths. So $45 a death. That's a large amount.
And,
he died about 20 times.
It cost us money. And it was I don't know what I mean. It just seems like it was a bust. Bits in general on Twitch, great thing. I don't have a problem with them. That in this particular situation, as a charity stream, it might have not worked.
And again, maybe it's because of the amount, maybe it's because people don't understand, but I think it really does come down to it costs us more to do, and it's there's no write-off for the people that do that.
Well, I think that sums it up, man.
Yeah, that's SGDQ 2017 on the Warp
behind
World
the
podcast.
scenes.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes of SGDQ.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for listening to Warp World Podcast episode Deuce. That's 2 for those who don't know.
Thank you for clarifying.
Jaku, where can we find you at?
Twitch.tv/Jaku and Twitter.com/Jaku.
And for me, you can find me at and YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's right. I got the YouTubes.
Yeah.
It's not Jaku though.
Oh.
Apparently that's too of a common word. So just youtube.jaku.tv will get you there.
Yeah, YouTube. And you can find me at YouTube, Grand Poo Bear, Twitch.tv, Grand Poo Bear, Twitter, Grand Poo Bear. No H, all one word. But you guys probably all know that if you're listening to episode 2. Let's be honest.
And at this point, we should be on iTunes and the Google Play Store. So make sure to hit that subscribe button.
Yes, find the RSS feed, I believe it's called. Hit the subscribe button. It'll download right to your phone. And I think the other thing is we kind of want to say thank you to everybody who listened to the first episode.
Absolutely, we were blown away by the amount of downloads that we got before we were on any of those services.
Yeah, we were just hoping for like 500 listens for our first episode. You know, maybe like we were gonna be stoked on 500, and you guys blew that out of the water. I think we're almost to 5,000.
Yeah, we're about 5,000 downloads.
And that's just for the downloads. That's not counting the iTunes, Google. That's like none of that. So there's
a lot.
Yeah, we could have, it could be more plays out there. So that's really awesome and exciting, and I'm really stoked. And I just want to say, both of us want to say thank you.
Yeah, thanks for all the tweets and emails too, just thanking us, because like we were away from our stream, so that's the way most people get a hold of us, letting us know stuff. So like it was absolutely fantastic to wake up to these tweets and be like, hey, just listen to the first episode of the podcast. It was awesome. Good work, guys.
Yeah, and it was really good. One guy even came up to us here and said he liked the podcast, which tons of guys came up and said they liked our stream, but that guy, you're my favorite. Because you're the hardcore fan.
Yeah,
you know?
That was absolutely awesome to find people that were like, yeah, I've listened to your podcast before I came, and I was really excited. Yeah. And there was a lot of tweets like, I can't wait to go to SGDQ or AGDQ next year because of the podcast. Yeah. So
it's going to be good. But yeah, that kind of sums it up. Thank you guys. Again, subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on Google Play Store, or check us out at Warp World.
Podcast.warp.world.
Podcast.warp.world. I should know that.
You're good to hang of it.
Absolutely. And, for me and Jaku, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
That's going to be it for this episode. We have a lot of exciting things for the next few episodes, so be sure to stay tuned. And as always, feel free to email us at podcast@warp.world, and we may even be able to answer those questions on the show. Thanks for listening.